Hello. Right, we're doing a little talk on 10 top tips for running. So, point number 1, start from where you're at. So, on the picture there, we've got a tortoise and a hare. You might be having a little panic and looking around thinking, oh, they look a bit fitter than me. They can run faster than me. It doesn't matter. Start from where you're at. If you can only run for 5 minutes, start with that and build up gradually. And no matter where you're at, I'd say in the first 4 weeks, just start with steady running. See how long you can run for and build on that. In your running training packs, there's a little running plan for beginners, so you can tap into that and see what you should be doing. And also on the website, there's an intermediate running plan too. So if you're a bit more experienced, follow that one.
Hi everyone, I'm Richard. I think don't suddenly change things. Don't suddenly put a new pair of trainers on and go off and do 15 miles. Don't suddenly go from running on the road to doing loads of off-road, or running off-road all the time to doing loads of time on the road. Try to do things subtly and steadily, and don't really progress much more than 10%. Lots of you will manage it, but generally if you can stick to 10% of progression of time or distance, that will sort of save all those niggles. I'm a physio, so obviously every time you get injured, you come and see me and it swells my bank balance. But so I don't want to get you. We don't want to see any of you injured at all. So hopefully some of these tips will stop those niggles and injuries.
Okay, tip number 2, keeping good form and technique. So I'm going to get everyone to stand up on your feet, please. And what I want you to do is just stand on one leg for me and take note of how you feel. You might be a bit wobbly. Okay, now back to standing normally. I want you to now draw your belly button towards your spine, so your tummy should feel a bit firmer and stronger. And now I want you to squeeze your shoulder blades together and down, sticking your chest out so you're standing nice and tall. And now I want you to stand on one leg. And you should feel a bit more stable. So when you're running, it's a good idea to think about keeping your tummy strong and standing tall so you can get more air into your lungs. During the 10K, when you're starting to get tired, you're more likely to be slouching a bit. Think stand tall, and it will really help you in the way that you run.
Number of steps. We talk about cadence. Anyone know what cadence means? Yes, sit down. You're all a bit intimidating otherwise. So cadence, we talk about number of steps per minute. Now, sometimes these runs can be a bit monotonous, and you might be running out of things to think about. So maybe just think about how many times your foot is in contact with the ground every minute. If you've got a little watch or a stopwatch or however you're running with, just count how many times your foot is in contact with the ground over a minute. Now try to aim for about 80 to 85 steps on any given on one side per minute. And that will mean you might actually be reducing your stride length. And by making your stride a bit shorter, that reduces the time your foot is in contact with the ground. It's a bit of complicated physics. But by doing that, that means less impact. And less impact hopefully means less injuries and less sore calves after. So yeah, cut that stride length down a little bit. Try and do about 80, 85 steps per minute on any given side. And it's to give you something to think about, because there'll be times when you'll be needing something to sort of take your mind off the pain.
Okay, tip number 3, good rest is as important as good training. Rich is going to talk you through. It's the next slide, please. There should be a triangle. Here we are.
Yeah, good. So try and keep, you all know about equilateral triangles, don't you? Any physicists in here or mathematicians? So we're going to try and keep this triangle equal, okay? So if you're increasing your training, the good news is you can also increase your food intake. Fantastic. But also, if you're increasing your training, you want to try and increase your rest as well. So good sleep's crucial. So you'll probably find you're sleeping better when you get back into some regular training. So try and keep all of that. If you're increasing your training, make sure you increase the quality of your food and also the amount of rest you're doing. If you're really tired and you've had some bad night's sleep, you'll find your training will suffer. And likewise, if you've been eating bad stuff, like all those chocolates we've been giving out, you might find your training suffers as well. But it's a good excuse to eat your hearts out over the next 3 months.
Okay, tip number 4, keep positive. You can do it. You might be feeling a little bit worried at this stage, thinking, goodness, how am I going to run 10K? But people of all shapes, sizes, ages can do it. Just build up gradually. And sometimes it's a good idea to have a positive mantra in your mind, so when the going gets tough, that can pick you up. Or to use a landmark, think, right, I'm just going to run to the next lamppost, or in the race, picking off the next person. Just find out what works for you and stay positive. It really, really helps. And on the start line, don't be saying to your friend, oh, I haven't done enough training, oh, my calf hurts, all these negative things. It really won't help. Just enjoy it, and you can do it.
Thanks, Jay. This is Mr. Singh. Does anyone know Mr. Singh? Anyone recognise him? He's 102. He makes Mark Wood Robinson look like a spring chicken. He's 102 years old, and I think he's run a number of, maybe 4 or 5 or 6, 7. He's run a lot of marathons anyway. He's an absolute legend. So if he can do it, we certainly all can do it as well, I'm sure. And we're only in 10K. Right. Tip number 5, Jen?
Tip number 5, enjoy it. Enjoy getting out running and having doing something different from the normal. I love running because it's a real escape. It's a bit of time for me. It really de-stresses me. So that's why I like it. But also run with friends. There's lots of you here that you can run with. On a Wednesday night, we're going to be doing a run club from 7:30 till 8:30 on the Downs. So great way of making friends and getting fitter. And also there is a thing called Park Run that some of you might have heard of. So that is 5K every Saturday at 9 o'clock. One's at Ashton Court, one's at Little Stoke. I think there's about 300 people that do it now of all abilities. Some take their push chairs and run with their children. And it's all over the UK. So if you go away for a weekend, you take your little barcode once you've registered online, and you can do a park run pretty much anywhere you go. So there's no excuse.
Yeah, the run, just to implore you to do come along on Wednesday evening, so 7:30 at the Water Tower, is it, Jen?
It is, yeah.
7:30 at the Water Tower for Run Club, and that's going to be we're going to cover all abilities. Literally, sometimes you'll just be walking to start. There's going to be the real super fast elite, the sub 30-minute 10Kers. No, there might not be many of those. But we're privileged enough to have 7 coaches with us. So we've got enough different groups to split into. So there'll be all abilities covered. Hopefully you'll find those coaches really motivate us a lot. We've got 2 of them here today. This very day, 2 of the coaches. Where are they?
Dan and Nathan.
Yeah, come on up, guys. What fine figures of athletes you see before you. I'll just quickly, we got the other 5 aren't around, so we'll just quickly introduce you. This is Nathan. Nathan, how can you motivate people with your running?
The thing that always motivates me when I'm out on a run, I always think that we're so much more capable than we think we are. And just thinking ahead and just thinking that you can do that, thinking on the positive notes, and you really, really can do these things. I think we put barriers in front of ourselves to say that we can't do it when we actually really, really can. And so pushing that, what we are capable of, is what really motivates me every time I head out. So, yeah.
And Dan?
We're good. Good morning. I'd say that a lot of the same. Just pushing yourself and challenging yourself and going farther than you think you can go is pretty much what motivates me. And for me too, also, it's another act of worship for me, for God. And it's me that spend time with Him, and He talks to me through that. And that's really one of the biggest motivations for me that I run. So, perfect.
Really looking forward to spending some more time with you guys over the next 11 weeks, I think it is. So 11 weeks we're going to be all honed. And we're all going to be wizened and looking gaunt. So thanks very much. Yeah, have a sit down. Thank you, guys. Good. And the other thing, there's another plug for the park run. It's quite a good idea to get one race under your belt before the big day, just so you can sort of iron out those little those glitches you can often have before the race, when you forget your race number or you forget your trainer or something. You turn up and think, oh, I've only got one shoe. So those sort of things. Do that in the dress rehearsal, which could be maybe one of these park runs. So yeah, do go to those.
Okay, tip number 6, good nutrition and hydration. Just on a day-to-day basis, if you're thinking, right, I'm going to do a run at the end of the day after work. If you've had a manic day, you've really not eaten very well, how can you expect your body to run? So what I would recommend is eating little and often. Don't go for too long without food. In terms of what to eat, try and have a really balanced diet. Think about a really colourful array of food on your plate. And yeah, if you've been out for a longish run, when you get back, try and eat something within 20 minutes of getting back, because that's when your body can absorb everything and you're more likely to recover and be better for your next run.
Hydration. I like to think about front-loading hydration, so try and drink as much as you can up to maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. Who gets up 10 times in a night for a pee? I have done in the past. Secret. But anyway, yeah, if you can drink more in the morning and the afternoon, you should find you're fully hydrated for your runs later in the evening. Don't go and run around with holding on to a litre bottle of water, please. We're not running for 4 hours or something. You're hydrated enough to be able to last for an hour run. And actually holding on to stuff can really make your shoulders quite tight. So unless it's a scorching hot day on the 10K, or unless you're doing it in a longer time, then you might need to take some sips, Jen.
Yeah, if you are drinking on the race, I'd recommend just having small sips. If you try gulping down big mouthfuls of water, you'll probably get a stitch. So small sips.
And yeah, probably hydrate yourself before, and obviously afterwards is good, but probably during an hour or half an hour run session, you'll probably be okay. But do bring drinks and stuff with you for after to the run club. Okay,
tip number 7. Be adaptable. Life can be challenging at times. We can come down with a cold or flu. If you're feeling ill, don't think, oh no, I've got to get out and the plan says I need to go out and run for 20 minutes today. Forget it. Just rest, get better, and when you feel better, get back to building up gradually. If you try training when you're ill, you will be out for longer and you're going to suffer more in the long term. Equally, if you're really stressed, work's been crazy, change the days that you train, make life a bit easier for yourself.
Yeah, and we're all going to have little niggles. It's pretty much inevitable. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But generally, if you are getting a niggle, I would probably, if it seems to be an injury, I'd probably at least take the next couple of days off, just completely rest, see how it is then. Then cut your training in half. So the amount, if you've been running for half an hour, just run for 15 minutes, or maybe even try some non-impact stuff. So maybe if you were going to do half an hour out running, maybe do half an hour on a bike or half an hour on a cross trainer or the rower or swimming. If the injury is lasting for a couple of weeks, then I would maybe see someone about it. Honestly, this is not a plug for. I'd like to be quiet, actually. I'm a bit lazy. So yeah, don't come and see me as a physio, but go and find a physio or someone you can trust if the injury has lasted for more than a couple of weeks. But God willing, we're all going to have no injuries at all. We're going to be fine.
Okay, tip number 8. Learn good pace judgement. I'd suggest when you're starting out, make sure that you can have a conversation as you run. If you can't get any words out at all, you're going way too fast. Once you started to get fitter and you're starting to up the pace, try what we call controlled discomfort. So you should be able to get about 5 words out. So if you're running alongside someone, perhaps ask them a question and they should be able to get a few words out. And that's a really good tip for when you're actually racing. It's quite tempting to zoom off too fast, but make sure you can get some words out, and then hopefully you shouldn't burn out halfway round. So that's my tip.
Yeah, don't start too fast. We'll all get so pumped up, the adrenaline will be coursing through us. It's very, very tempting just to whiz off. And actually, for the first couple of minutes, it will feel quite easy. And you'll think, oh, I feel great, this is amazing. But then you'll soon go into the red, and then you'll suffer for it later. So pacing strategies we'll cover, won't we, Jen, in the run club. And just please, don't start too fast on race day. Ease into it. Find first kilometre or 2 kilometres, just ease into it. Get up to race pace, and then carry on from then.
Okay, tip number 9, ways to stay injury-free. I was going to get you up all doing some stretching, but we're a bit limited on space, so I'm going to get Rich to do some demonstrations.
Most unflexible person in the world.
So he's just going to do a few stretches of the key muscle groups. So first of all, I'm going to get Rich to stretch his quad muscle, the thigh muscle here. I'm going to get you to pull your heel to your bottom.
And when you do
See
this,
that?
classic footballer stretches, and you can do this in a couple of seconds. But yeah, just heel to bum, not balancing like that, and then squeeze your, come and help me. And then squeeze your bum, push your hips forward, and you'll feel a really nice stretch, real nice pull down the front of your thigh.
And you should always stretch when you're warm. So static stretching like this is a good idea to do after you've got back from your run. And you should hold each stretch for 20 to 30 seconds, about 2 to 3 on each side.
Good.
We're now going to stretch the hamstring. So one leg in front of the other, sitting into it, Rich.
And then you should stick your bum out, and you'll get a lovely stretch all the way down the back of your leg. Keep your back nice and straight. If your back's arched, you won't really get much of a stretch. So back nice and straight. We can go through all this on Wednesday. There'll be lots of fun stuff like this on Wednesday. But yeah, leaning forward, stick your bottom out, and get a nice stretch down your hamstrings. Don't bother stretching before a run. Warming up's crucial though. So like we were just saying, warm in, like ease into your session. Try not to start, if you're doing intervals, which we'll be doing later on, try to be quite hot and sweaty before you even start doing the meat of the run. So spend a good 10 minutes just easing into it. And if you've got time, if you can, do maybe 5 minutes of just slow or steady running or walking even before you get back in the car, or you sit slumped in front of the TV after when you have that well-earned rest.
I've got one more stretch I'd like you to do, Rich.
Yeah.
So leaning against the wall, this is for the calf stretch. So you're just going to put your foot against the wall and then lean your body weight forward. And that should be a really nice stretch down the back of the calf. Calves are often an area that get tight when you first start running. But everything should get a bit looser as your body adapts and gets used to running.
Good.
Okay, last tip, and that is race day. Preparation, pacing, and practice. It's a good idea to be organised. So the night before, get your running kit out, put your number on, put your chip on your shoe. Make the race day as stress-free as possible. It's a good idea to practice running in what you're going to wear as well, so you're used to that and you can work out if anything's going to rub or if you need to change what you're going to wear. Practice what you're going to eat for breakfast and then run. Usually leave about 2 hours after you've eaten before you run. And pacing, like we mentioned, don't go off too fast too soon, but I think you'll find that because there's so many people running, that might work in your favour not to go off too fast because it might be a bit slow to begin with, but don't panic. That's probably a good thing. And enjoy it. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to sharing the next 11 weeks with you and seeing you all on race day. But don't take it from us, only us. Take it from the next man, Nick Rose. Can we give a massive round of applause for Mr. Nick Rose? Now, Nick seems a very humble chap, but I will tell you now, and I just clarified it with him earlier, that Nick is faster than Mo Farah. Nick's run a 10K faster than Mo Farah's ever run a 10K. Now, that's something, isn't it? So who needs Mo Farah when we've got Bristol's own Mo Farah, Nick Rose? Thank you, Nick. And that is true, isn't it? The record still stands.
It was a long time ago, but it's still there.
So before sports nutrition, before trainers, Nick was running in a loincloth and bare feet.
Well, I draw the line. Not quite.
Nick, Nick's been a great supporter of Love Running over the years, and particularly through the shop. Nick, what do you do in Bristol now?
Well, right now, I still run. I'm very passionate about the sport. I embrace it. I love it. It's good for you. It's good for the soul, good for the mind, good for the body. I love it. But I'm also in the business as well because I own a running shop. And a lot of the advice that you and Jen gave is sound, good advice. But the one thing, you talked about cadence, you talked about impact. And when you think how much impact you have every time you take a step, you've got to think about what absorbs that impact. And if you don't have the right shoes, I always look at people's feet because I'm in a business. I see what they're wearing when they run. And I see people in tennis shoes, squash shoes, they have very, very little cushioning. And so people that run in those, your body is absorbing the impact as opposed to the shoe. And that's when you have to worry. Tennis shoes, squash shoes are built for lateral support because you're moving side to side. So the one thing that I'm sure all of us that have run before and still run, shoes are the most important thing to think about. You talked about, lots of hands went up when Philip asked about people that don't quite enjoy looking forward to this race or don't enjoy running. So what I would like to do is try and make that experience better for you. And shoes are the one thing. If you get shoes that are too wide, you can move around in them, you get lateral movement, you get friction, you get blisters, feet get hot. If they're too tight, they'll go numb. So shoes are the one thing that you really need. Also, running's hard. It's not easy. I find it hard, but it's challenging. And that's what I get the buzz from. All of you are being challenged to do this 10K, and that's absolutely brilliant. I get a buzz from that. I get a buzz from watching you guys out there in your T-shirts, but I get a buzz from my own challenge as well. And it's not easy, but you can all do it if you get sound advice. And that's what you must get and follow.
Nick, where do they go for that?
It's in Northview. There's a flyer in the bags which are being handed out. We're same road as Waitrose. Lots of parking. One thing we are going to do is everyone that buys a pair of shoes between now and race day, you'll get a pack which is worth £23. In that pack you get a race diary. It's very important to record the running you're doing so you can reflect on it, see what you did from week to week. We'll give you a water bottle. Hydration is important. It might be a hot day. We'll give you a pair of socks. Socks are important. They can have cushioning in them. And we'll give you a tube. A tube is something that has many, many purposes. It can be used as a sweatband, armband, lots of different purposes. So we're going to give away a pack which is worth £23 for everyone that buys a pair of shoes. Plus, you get 10% off everything, shoes, clothing, everything else.
Oh, Nick, that's great. Thank you. That'd be really, really good. Yeah, the training diaries, we didn't mention that actually, but yeah, keeping record of all the training you're doing is really motivational when it comes to race day and you're thinking, I'm not sure I've got it in my legs. And you look back over that training diary, you can see what you've done and see what you've achieved even over that 3 months. It'll really rev you up for the day. So that's a great thing to offer. Thanks, Nick. And where's this?
It's in Northview, just off the Downs, White Tree Roundabout. Go up to the White Tree Roundabout. If you're going up White Ladies Road, take a right towards White Tree Roundabout. Take a right towards Waitrose, and we're just before you get to Waitrose on the right-hand side. Parking outside, parking in Waitrose. Even I don't like to say that, but if you do a bit of shopping as well, then that's great.
Nick, thanks so much on behalf of all of everyone. Thanks so much for all your support, and you're an absolute legend. So
you're welcome, and good luck, everyone. See you there on the day. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.